Story time of how I ruined my white friend's Christmas dinner. So I haven't spoken about this period of my life when I got kicked out, but I basically lived with a friend who really wanted me to stay with her and her family during COVID times. Instead of staying at Tanya's, which you guys may have heard me say her name a couple times, I stayed at this individual's house, and it was in like this small town area, like mostly white people, very small town. I don't know if I want to talk about that whole part of my life, but I do want to tell you guys about the Christmas dinner that I was invited to that same year. So at this point, I lived with this family for like 3 months. I went back to London for university, and then the holidays came and they really wanted me to come for Christmas, spend Christmas Eve with them, because otherwise I'd be just alone in my house. So for this Christmas dinner, I was gonna meet her grandma for the first time, and she was like very religious, like very Christian. In conversation, sometimes I would say, "Oh my God," which is like, you know, using God's name in vain, and she really, really hated that. And we were all really trying our best to not say it, but like it would just come out sometimes. So that was like the first thing that I fucked up on. But let me tell you guys the main reason why my really close friend at the time, her family was very upset with me and literally said that I ruined Christmas dinner. So I don't know how the topic came up, but I think we were talking about just like extremely wealthy people and you know like them abusing power or whatever, just because they're so rich or whatever. And it was because I worked at this country club where a bunch of rich people were. I was telling them how I've actually firsthand experienced that. I've experienced wealthy people cheating on their wives, and I'm using the Say Beauty Sun Melt, by the way, in tan bronze, and then I'm going in with the Hourglass Light Peach Concealer. If you guys have watched my much older story times, you know that I had an interaction with one of these really wealthy men. He like wanted to sleep with me, and I was just like, I got super freaked out, and that was also the reason why I ended up quitting my old job. Anyways, go scroll back to find that story time. I'm not talking about it. It was traumatizing. So anyways, I was just kind of telling them that there was a guy like that at my work, and there's this girl that I work with that knows one of the guys is like this, and she is purposely trying to like reel him in so she can like blackmail him. I was like, it's so like ridiculous. I was just laughing about it, and I remember someone else at the table was laughing about it as well. So that was kind of the end of that conversation, and everything was seemingly going well. I had a really good time. Everyone seemed to be having a really good time. When I go back to London, my friend tells me that her parents were very upset with me. And do you want to know the reason why they were upset with me about that conversation? They were like, how is Mina okay with blackmailing? Like, that is horrible. This guy being super creepy or whatever, why would she be okay with someone And I was like, when did I say, like to my friend, I was like, when did I say I was okay with people blackmailing? The guy that my coworker wanted to blackmail or was planning on blackmailing, I had my own interaction with him, which I could have easily gotten him into so much trouble. But I chose not to because I'm not that type of person. I would never blackmail anyone. Like, I literally quit working there because I was so uncomfortable from this guy. Also, wait, sorry, my base? Anyways, I was like, how from that conversation did they think that I was okay with it? But they thought like that was like something you don't even joke about. Even though I'm not friends with this girl anymore, she really did defend me. She's like, Mom, Dad, a lot of the stuff that we say at the dinner table, Mina is like, why would you say that in front of your parents? Like, why would you talk about those things? She's not used to like what our family is okay with and what we're not okay with. I remember they would make like some jokes or whatever about boyfriends or like significant others and like sleeping. Just be like, oh, like that's kind of weird. Why would you like say that in front of your parents? And it was totally normal for them, but for me, obviously, I would never speak that way in front of my parents. I just felt like I was so blindsided. Like, I genuinely did not think that that was the reason why they were so upset. I will no longer be invited to any Christmas dinners anymore. And I'm joking, that's not the reason why I wouldn't be invited to any more Christmas dinners. There's another reason, but I don't feel like I'm comfortable sharing that with you guys yet, but maybe I will. But maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I felt so guilty. I felt so bad. I was like, I genuinely did not mean to ruin the holidays for you guys. Like, is it just me? Like, is what I said that bad? It's not like I brought it up out of nowhere. Like,
I tell you a traumatic story that happened to me whilst I was on a school trip. So obviously I've done social media for a couple of years now, and my school was kind of aware of me doing this, but they never obviously took me out or seen it in public. So there was a few school trips at my school. We never really had many. I think I literally went on one or two, and it was both for a geography GCSE, which was like compulsory, you had to go on. Some schools are different, so don't always count me on that for every school. But whilst I was on this geography GCSE school trip, the whole thing was that we had to go around and interview people and ask them questions about this area. And this was a city called Chelmsford. I'd never really been there before. I think I was there once before, and I didn't really have an idea on like if people noticed me there, but obviously because it's kind of like a city, well, they call it a city, but I didn't really think it was a city. Because they call it like a city, I was thinking like obviously when I go out I do get noticed, but I'm not the type of girl to be like, guys, I might get noticed today. I kept it to myself, and when I was there, I was getting noticed, but at this point there was no teachers around, so it didn't really matter, so I was just like taking the pictures, whatever. And I was meant to have my school uniform on, but because of the reason I thought I might get noticed and I didn't want to like disrespect the school or anything, I took my tie off, I took my blazer off. I literally went in with just the literal top on. Like, I always never showed my tie anyways, but this particular day I made sure I wasn't wearing it just in case. Just a bit of a backstory, I do think this teacher was pretty aggy at me anyways, because me and my best friend Jude never ever wanted to be seen asking people questions about why they're shopping, or go up to randomers and ask them questions. So we didn't really do that. We went shopping. I went and bought like Charlotte Tilbury bits. I spent about 300 quid in an hour. But this was literally just me and my friend Jude. This is what we was like. This is what we consisted of. And I remember a girl called Georgia called me and was like, Amelie, the teachers are running after you because they don't know where you've gone. And there was me in the queue in Primark trying to get my thongs. Like, what? But yeah, no. So we wasn't really following the rules, but also because I did not want to go up to people and ask them questions. I just don't feel comfortable doing that. And obviously I get it's part of the school rules and I should have followed it, and I understand that now. But I think also because like I knew people was noticing me, it's just embarrassing to go up to them and be like, so why are you in Primark today? Like, it's just not me. But on our lunch break, I saw the teacher, and he wasn't my actual teacher. He was just like the head of the whole school trip, as my teacher wasn't head. He was just like helping out. So when this teacher was standing next to me, a group of people asked me for a photo, and instead of my teacher just being understanding and letting me take it because I was respecting the rules, I wasn't showing my school or anything like that, he ended up screaming at me in front of these people. Literally screaming, telling me he's going to get me excluded, this is against the school rules, I'm not allowed to take pictures with people. And in that situation, I'm not going to be a brat and turn around and go, actually no, and then stand there doing nothing because it was lunch. So on this school trip, like I was saying, the teacher has then started shouting at me in front of these followers, and this girl and boy and the people that was there was just all looking like, what is going on? I felt so uncomfortable because obviously like I have a reputation I've got to hold, and also it's not like it concerns me. If people ask me for a picture, it's not like I'm going out my way. I do social media, I expect to get asked for pictures, and I like love it. I love meeting people. I think it's so nice. And I just thought it was very disrespectful and also very unprofessional the way he went about this whole situation. So when he's shouting at me, I was like, I've done nothing wrong. I was like, I've took a picture, haven't got my tie in it. I was like, please tell me what is wrong with that. And he was like, you're going against the school rules, I'm going to get you excluded, I'm calling your mum and dad tonight. I was like, call my mum. My mum literally tells me to always be kind, I'm being nice, and I'm taking pictures of my followers. I don't know what's wrong with that. And then he starts trying to say that it's concerning for me and my well-being because I can't say no to a picture. And I said, no, there's no reason for me not to take the picture. I'm sitting here doing nothing because you're not letting me go anywhere because I was going shopping. So I'm not doing anything, therefore I'm not saying no to a picture. At this rate, I'm literally like, what the hell is going on? Why am I getting screamed at? I've done nothing wrong. You might have seen it. It did actually go pretty viral. I think it hit like 4 million views. But I posted a video, and in this video I mentioned it was like me saying, put the finger down if you got really embarrassed on the school trip. And I did not think anything of it. I was sitting in my car fuming after this school trip, and in the car I thought, oh, I'm going to post a video, and I thought that was really funny. So posted this video, and then I get an email on a Sunday morning from my head teacher. Bear in mind, this teacher did come up to me and apologise, so I'm not going to sit there and slate him, but I just said on the video, like, oh, it was really embarrassing, things like this. I never mentioned the school, I never mentioned the school name, and if you look on my filtered comments, I've completely filtered my comments so no one can say the word of my school, because it's my own personal privacy as well as the school's, obviously. So therefore, the school cannot complain about the video because I did not mention anything about him. I just said a teacher. So I then got an email, and I'm going to leave it on the screen now for you guys to read. This was from my head teacher, and at this point I am literally like, what the hell? My dad's laughing, my mum's like, no, this is bad, like, you can't be doing things like that. But then she looked at it and was like, actually, that is fine, like, keep it up. I posted 2 stories when I was on this school trip, and it was after the school trip of my Charlotte Tilbury bag in my hand and the floor. You could not see my school uniform or nothing. On that story, I put on my Snapchat and my Instagram, it said, I love Charlotte Tilbury, at Charlotte Tilbury. Therefore, the school is not only stalking me on social media, they're also looking at my Snapchat story. And I went in there.
Oh my god, story time of how one of my really close high school friends ended up becoming my bully. Yes, guys, I had a high school bully, and this wasn't your typical, bullying scenario. Like, I was not completely defenseless, I attacked the person back too. But he was just horrible, and the things that he said were horrible, so let's get into it. I'm getting ready for work right now. I wouldn't willingly wear this, okay? Why do I keep bringing up high school? I had a really fun time in high school, but it was also very traumatizing at the same time. So I don't know exactly how we became close. We just shared a lot of the same classes, so naturally we just ended up talking a lot. We got along. He also said a lot of out-of-pocket shit, and I was a very patient person, I guess. Like, I didn't get offended easily by things, and sometimes he'd say things and I just be like, bro, like, you're just being stupid. So I think that's why we got along, because maybe he felt that I could understand his humor. And honestly, I think for me it was because the people I grew up around, like my brothers and cousins and stuff, they said a lot worse things. We also were doing well in school, and like we would work together on things sometimes. He was actually friends with me while I was dating my ex. I had 2 exes in high school. This man literally got me Timbits for my birthday, and my own boyfriend didn't get me anything. And I literally like went to his house and met his cat. We made like food together and stuff. Like, it was completely platonic, I promise. I remember one time my ex like wanted to go smoke with his friends or whatever and didn't want to like hang out with me, even though like we had originally planned to hang out together. So my guy best friend took me out to Dimitri's, which is like this crepe whatever place. But yeah, like we were like good friends. Like, he treated me really nicely, and then suddenly everything changed. So we were super close in grade 11, and then in grade 12 we kind of stopped being friends, and it all rooted from like this one scenario, I think. So basically one day we're in the library and my guy friend shows me a video of this guy on his hockey team, and I'm like, oh my god, he is so hot. Like, guys, I am geeking. I am crushing over this mysterious man, this 5-second video that I seen of this man. And I'm like, you have to set me up. And he's like, yes, I'm so down, whatever. So he sets me up. The guy, thinks I'm cute. He's on TikTok. Like, he's TikTok famous now, which is hilarious. Honestly, like, I thought he was cute, but I felt like our personalities didn't really match. My best guy friend, whatever, he starts to tell me, like, he starts jabbing at me throughout this like year. He makes comments about how my eyebrows are too thick, how I have like a really big nose, and I'm just like so ugly, and I'm like disgusting, whatever, like, ew, you're so ugly, like, shut up. And just, it would progressively get more aggressive each time, to the point where in our science class, we had assigned seats, and I had to move from sitting beside him because he would constantly make comments about my looks. So anyways, we're really close friends, and then all of a sudden it wasn't all of a sudden, it was like progressive. He would slowly start making more rude comments, to the point where it wasn't just out of pocket, it was straight up bullying. Obviously, I would say shit back. I'd be like, yeah, you're talking about my nose? Like, you look like a fucking lizard. You have a big nose too. But he would just do it so constantly, and like, it was just horrible. And this is what really got me. So the guy that I had like a little crush on, whatever, that we were talking, we kind of stopped talking, but like there was no bad blood between us. And then like after that whole situation happened, my best friend was telling me, he's like, oh yeah, like in the boys like hockey room, we all make fun of him. We all make fun of him for liking you because you're so fucking ugly. And that literally just like broke my heart, I guess. Not just because I'm like, why am I the topic of conversation in this boys' locker room. Like, I just felt so belittled, and it just felt worse because this guy that actually, you know, found me attractive and he was really nice and thought I was cute was being ridiculed for liking me. And yeah, I wasn't conventionally attractive then. Like, I had a bigger nose, I had thicker eyebrows, like I had different features. But like, why are you making this guy feel bad for liking someone like me? Which, make fun of him now, I guess. Like, it's funny how the tables have turned and how none of those hockey men can bag me anymore. The way that I'm too cute for you now. I mean, I did give in and I got a nose job, but you know what? It's his fault. It was because of him. Anyways, whatever. And he just didn't seem like a good person. He literally would show me girls' noodles. Like, be like, yeah, oh my god, I'm talking to this girl. Look at what she sent me. Look at this noodle. And I'm like, I literally straight up said to him, I was like, why are you showing me these things? This is like private between you and her. Like, why are you just showing it around? And I know for a fact, like, he'd show his friends and stuff. And I'm like, that's just horrible. Like, we were close, but I was like, I'm not gonna allow this kind of behavior. I'm not gonna endorse it. I'm not friends with this guy anymore. And so I just completely cut myself off from him. It's not like, you know, he made it hard. He seemed to like not want to be close to me anymore either. Like, he just literally hated me, thought I was some ugly troll. And it was just interesting because when we graduated at the end of the year, he wrote in my yearbook that he was kind of upset that we were no longer friends anymore. So if my boy crush from high school is watching this, I'm not mad at you. Like, you were just being annoying and that's why I cut you off. So, and the whole reason that I am talking about this right now is because I was out with one of my really close friends from high school at Dimitri's, and I literally saw him sitting with these group of girls, and I know he didn't recognize me because I look completely different, but I was like, oh my god, that's him. He's literally right there. And it just reminded me of high school, and I just thought I had to share that story with you guys. Mind you, it's been 4 years. I really hope he's changed and become a better person, but what he did to me in high school really hurt me, really affected my self-esteem. He's the reason why I made my eyebrows thinner. Like, he's definitely contributed to the fact of why I got a nose job. Like, he really fed on my insecurities. And I thought it was my friend, but he wasn't. And this is also why I don't have boys as my friends. Like, some men are horrible friends to women. Like, they shit on you. They say such horrible things to you, and you're just supposed to take it and be like, yeah, oh my god, you're so funny. No.
My name is Angela Babbage, and I have been very unlucky in love. Along with traditional dating, I've been on not one, but 2 reality TV dating shows. It got to the point where I was just simply desperate for answers. I was venting to my best friend, and she was like, girl, I'm going to see my psychic this weekend, come with me. She warned me that we'd have to go super early and wait outside even before he got there because he's somewhat of a local celebrity. Sure enough, we pull up, and there's already 5 people in front of us. He finally arrives. We all take a number. Everyone that went in before us was in and out within like 10 minutes. Finally, it was my turn, and my best friend had to go in with me to translate because he only spoke Spanish. And I'm so happy she was there to experience all this because no one would believe me what happened next. He has me cut the deck of cards. Just to set the scene for you, there is a small shrine in the corner, and I'm dressed head to toe in black, wearing a mask, a hat. I couldn't even recognize myself. Okay, I look like somebody's son. I was really trying to make the reading as unbiased as possible. This man starts telling me things about my life that not even my best friend knew. And if you guys want me to go into detail about what he said that was true and what came true months later, I'll do a part 2. Let me know in the comments. But after just a few minutes in the room, we all heard scratching in the upper corner of the ceiling. I will literally never forget this moment for the rest of my life. We all kind of just turned very slowly and looked up and then looked at each other. My first thought was, oh damn, they must have a rodent problem. And then he got really, really quiet and started to say a prayer. He said that there was a demon attached to me that was not happy that I was there. He almost immediately had us exit the room and go sit back in the waiting room. I could hear a series of chimes like he was ringing a bell. We were so confused because everyone else had been in and out. After what seemed like forever, he invited us both back in and he offered me an egg cleanse free of charge. I did the cleanse, and no surprise, my egg came out black. He lets me know that a woman who was extremely bitter and spiteful about me not only did a curse on me, she went as far as to bury something in a cemetery. He had been so right across the board with everything else that he told me. So of course, this whole thing just freaked me out. And in the weeks following, I had such good luck. It was like the egg cleanse worked. But that good luck streak faded within a few months, and it seemed like my bad luck came back full force. It's been almost 6 months and I feel like I'm right back where I started. So I decided recently it's time to go back and pay him a visit. I am literally terrified, but at this point, I don't even know what else to do. Before this man mentioned anything about witchcraft, he gained my trust by telling me so much about my life. I mean, this man was spitting straight facts in detail. The first thing that came out of his mouth was all the work I had done on TV. He also spoke about contracts that haven't happened yet. So I'm not trying to jinx all of that with this TikTok, okay? He mentioned that I had lost a son. I have never had a child. I've never even been pregnant, so it wasn't resonating. So I kept saying no, 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 and it didn't hit me until I got home that he was talking about my dog Zuko that passed away 4 years ago. Like, I would call out to him as my son, my son, my son. He actually died in my arms, so let's not start bawling. But what he said next, just as a little backstory, I went through a really bad breakup in February of 2021, and since then I had only dated 2 guys. First guy I dated was living in London and we were in a situationship from February until June. I wound up breaking up with him because I felt like he was constantly feeding me empty promises. For example, he invited me to an event that was happening in December. He even offered to have his stylist style me. Within like a month of him bringing it up, he snatched that invite right back. Something just didn't feel right. And we'll call him London. So 2 weeks after I dumped London, I met 6'4", and we were hot and heavy from day one, and there were a lot of question marks. So fast forward to August, as I'm sitting talking to this psychic, he's like, you have 2 guys in your life right now. I see these 2 guys, you're kind of in limbo with the both of them, and they're both gonna come back, but they're both gonna go nowhere. Sir, please, I am literally paying you to feed into my delusions. Like, let's stick to the script here. He was basically like, yep, sorry, and as a matter of fact, one of them is dealing with another woman. Keep in mind, the psychic said one of them had another woman. He didn't say which one, but I automatically assumed it was 6'4" because he was so damn fine. So you best believe we didn't even get back in the car yet and I was blowing up his phone talking about, I know you have another bitch. And he's like, Angela, what are you talking about? Go back inside and ask the psychic who this woman is because I'd really like to know myself. Blocked him on everything. He's back in my life now. Matter of fact, I just saw him yesterday, which is why this video took me so long. But in my mind, it couldn't possibly be London. Well, baby, where there's a will, there's a way. Fast forward to December, it is London's event, and a photo pops up on my Explore page, and it is him and his ex at this event that he had invited me to. It wasn't just any ex. Oh, no, no, no. It was the ex he dogged out to me. Like, I'm talking in the most intimate way that I felt bad for her. It's always the ones that they talk the most about that you gotta worry about. And I didn't even have to do any FBI research for this one. The photo popped up on my Explore page. Because if there's one thing about me, God is gonna let me know some way or another. So now I'm like wanting to go back because what the hell? I'm also afraid of what I might hear next. Because if we can debunk this whole thing and make me stop freaking out, that would be amazing. And I could really, really use your help.
Story time about how my best friend was stealing from me. A little background information. I was 17 or 18 whenever this all happened, and I was a senior in high school. Now, my family and I had just moved to a new state, and that is where I met my best friend, who we are going to call Grace. Now, Grace and I clicked instantly, but anytime that we would hang out, she would always want to come to my house and never wanted to go to hers. Her excuse was that she had a lot of siblings and our house was super small, there was nothing to do, you know, which I didn't really care. I had no problem with this at all, until some weird shit started happening in my house. And when I say weird shit, I mean that stuff in my house literally started disappearing. Now, at first I wasn't that suspicious because it was just my clothes. And y'all know how things get lost in the laundry sometimes. But then it started to become stuff like my shoes and purses. So, you know, I go and I ask my mom if she's seen any of my clothes or shoes or purses. And she goes and looks through her things to see if anything might be mixed in. But while she's doing that, she's realizing that some of her shit is missing too. So at first we're thinking that it's the cleaning lady, which I feel super bad about. But, you know, before we blame anybody else that, you know, we love and trust and we think would never steal from us,
we would think that it would be more logical for somebody who doesn't really know us to steal from us. So we confront her and she denies everything, but just to be sure, we did something to test her and she did not steal our shit. But after this, we're getting a little bit worried that other stuff in the house might be missing, so we go and look and our jewelry is missing as well. So now we only had 2 suspects. First we had my cousin, because she would stay over sometimes, and then we had Grace, which I thought was very unlikely because she was always with me. But nonetheless, I started to be more cautious around her. I would try to be more aware of where and what she was doing while she was in my house. And for a few days, nothing happened. So obviously, after a few times of her coming over, I was 99.9% sure that she wasn't stealing from us. But then, of course, the one night, she must have not realized that I was still awake because she got up to, I'm assuming, go to the bathroom. So I keep pretending to be asleep. And when she walked out of my room, I saw her walk towards the living room. And I decided not to go out there. Instead, I was going to wait until she came back with shit because that would be super awkward if I just went out there and she really could have just been getting some water or something. Well, what do you know? She comes back with some of our shit and she stuffs it in her book bag. So I decided not to confront her. I actually wait till the next day to just tell my mom about it. And that's when she told me that I just wasn't allowed to speak to Grace again or see her. But I wanted my shit back, so I go to her house to surprise her. Her sister ends up answering the door and she lets me in. So, she brings me into the living room and I'm sitting on the couch, and whenever Grace comes into the living room, y'all should have saw her. It looked like she's seen a fucking ghost. And then she goes, "Why are you here?" Like, girl, you're not even gonna pretend to be happy to see me after you just stole all my shit? After you just robbed me? How rude of you. No, but I actually told her that I was there to finish a project with her, so she was like, okay, we can do it in the living room. And then I tell her that I need to go to the bathroom, and I go back. I find her room. As soon as I walk in, I see my shit. So I pull my phone out and I record everything. And she walks in her room. I don't even care. I'm literally still recording everything. She's crying and saying, "Oh my goodness, my mom made me steal this stuff because we're low-key down bad right now and we need money, da-da-da-da-da, and she knew y'all were rich." Babe, do me a favor. Save the sob story for someone who cares. And okay, just for shits and giggles, let's say that you are struggling. If you're struggling that bad, you would have been sold my shit, because why is everything still in your room? So, I threatened to call the cops on her unless she gives all my shit back, and she didn't want that, so obviously she gave it all back. Well, I did find out a few days later that she was, in fact, trying to sell my stuff. But I don't care. You should have just came to me instead of fucking somebody over who actually cared about you.
To tell you some really funny but traumatic experiences I had when I was at school and being a social media girl. Starting off, I think this is one that a lot of people always get shocked about because they're like, no way people asked you this. But teachers used to always ask me oh, how much do you earn a year? And all these really, really personal questions about my money. And I just always used to think I would never ask a teacher how much they earn, so why are they asking me? A lot of people always expected, because I had a following on social media, that a lot of people wanted to be my friend. But I'd say it was the complete opposite. People was kind of I don't even know what it was, but people was just so weird with me and just was rude all the time. Be like, oh, she's a TikTok girl, she's so prestige. But none of them would even speak to me. I made some really good friends in younger years and my years, but everyone else just had such an opinion when they didn't know me, which is one thing I find with social media, and a lot of my friends had the same issues growing up on social media. It's really annoying. I think one of the most funny, memorable things is the rumours people used to make about me, which was so, so far from the truth. And it used to literally make me giggle so much because I'd be like, that's just not true. Basically, some girls was throwing balls at the back of my head in PE. And I felt really dizzy, so I went to the medical woman, and they made me tell them what happened, because I was I don't really care, but I had to tell medical what happened. And then medical told pastoral, which is the people that try to sort out problems. And I remember I was oh, this is just going to get me so much more problems. And then the whole of year 8 and 9, I had a rumour going around that apparently my parents paid the school to get me out of trouble. There was seriously a rumour going around that my parents owned part of the school. My parents paid the teachers not to get me in trouble. But in reality, they was all the ones that was being naughty and not me. That's why I just never got in trouble, because I was just the blooming victim of it all. But yeah, that was a very good rumour that went around. Everyone literally told everyone that my mum paid the school to get me out of trouble. Another thing was I was called Snobson because my last name's not actually Charlize, it's Hobson. And my whole school life I was called Amelie Snobson because apparently I was a snob. In year 7 I had a red bag. So in year 7 most of the people used to call me Red Bag Girl because no one knew my name. If I ever had hate from anyone from school, like being horrible to me, and the school found out about it, the school would tell me to quit social media because that's the reason that I get hate. But like, there would be kids that done dancing in my school that would get hate because they was like good at dancing, but they never got told to quit what they was passionate in doing. It was just because I done something different. If you want